So today we will deal with the second topic, that is population explosion. Yes, in our first class we have learned about the reproductive health here. So today we are going to learn about population explosion, the different factors that leads to the over explosion of the human populations, and what will be the consequences of the increasing human populations. Then we also learn about the different contraceptive methods or the methods to control the human populations. Yeah. So what is population explosion or over growth of the human population? So the tremendous increase in size and growth rate of population is called population explosion. That means the increase in the size and the growth of the human population. So when there will be enormous growth of the human population in terms of size, or when there will be growth in the human populations, we will call it population explosion. And this population explosion is one of the major concerns for the whole nation. Globally also we can say it's one of the major concerns because the number of human population is usually increasing on. Yeah. So population explosion means the increase in the size and the growth of the human population. So clearly note it down, what is population explosion. Now, second thing, what are the reasons for the population explosion in India or the high population growth in India? Because there are several factors which will lead to the growth of human populations. In the last class, practically that we have learned about there is lack of education among the individuals, so we have to make them aware, we have to create awareness, we have to make them educated, right? So here we will see the different factors which are responsible for the growth of human population in India. So first one is decline in death rate. Clear? Due to the advancement in the field of medicine, there's a decline or decrease in the rate of death. The death rate has been decreased. Clear? So look over here, the two words. Due to the better healthcare, reduced MMR and IMR. What does MMR and IMR mean? Try to recall. We have learned in last class that MMR means maternal mortality rate. Clear? Maternal mortality rate, and IMR means infant mortality rate. So this MMR and IMR has been significantly reduced due to the advancement in the field of medical science. So which is one of the factors for the increasing growth of human population. Clear? So there's a decrease in the death rate. Number two, you can see over here, slower decline in the birth rate. So the birth rate has been it's decreasing very slowly as compared to the death rate. So you can go here. Slower decline in the birth rate as compared to decline in death rate. Yes, so the birth rate is declining at a much slower rate as compared to the death rate. So it's also one of the most important factors for rising the human population. Number three, longer lifespan. The average lifespan of an individual has been increased. Why? Simply due to the advancement of the field of medical science by getting proper agricultural products which have better nutrition, better quality. So there's an increase in the lifespan of an individual for any year. That means an individual can really survive for a longer span of life. Next one, advancement in agriculture. Nowadays, due to the advancement in field of biological science, like in field of biotechnology, we are able to create such a crop which has better productivity. Number two, which has better quality of nutrients. Clear? So due to the advancement in the field of agriculture, we are producing crops with better productions. We are producing crops with better nutrients, with better quality. And each and every individuals in and populations are able to get those type of agricultural products. which are hence responsible for the longer lifespan of an individual organism, and is also contributing in the population growth in India. Next one, facilities for storage of food. Nowadays, the food materials or the food products can be stored for a longer period of time simply by the help of biotechnology. Alright, we are creating genetically modified crops, genetically modified plants, which has got a longer life for preservations, which you can preserve for a longer days. Generally, this compared to the tomato which you take. It starts rotting nearly about 2 or 3 days after preserving. Clear? But the particular plants which we used to create, which we used to produce by the help of biotechnology, they can be preserved, they can be stored for a longer days of time. Clear? So therefore nowadays, the food materials can be stored for a longer period of time, so that it can be utilized after a longer period of time to the needy people. And in case of any sort of conditions, those preserved food materials can be supplied. Clear? Next one. Government efforts to ensure the food supply by introducing public distribution systems, maintenance of reserve stock. That means government, they are playing an important role in the proper distribution of food materials among the human population. Alright, we will try to ensure that each and every individuals will be provided with proper food materials. So they are maintaining the supplies of those food materials, they are preserving it, they are storing it. Clear? And it also aims to the increasing human populations. Next one, control on epidemics. Like the governments are usually putting an effort to control all the epidemics, like diseases, spread of diseases. Clear? So they are putting all the effort so that they will try to control the spreading of diseases. They will try to control the epidemics, which is also one of the main factors for the increasing growth of human populations. Next one, religious belief in many of the community do not permit them to settle for lower family. You can see over here. Religious beliefs in many communities do not permit adoption with small family norms. That means they do not follow the family planning program. Yeah, because family planning program is one of the most important factor for controlling the human population. But like in many in our societies, they do not follow the family planning norms. Yes, which also significantly leads to the increasing growth of the human population. Next one, lack of education is very important. Because in last also we have learned that mainly in our societies, most of the individuals, they are uneducated. Right? They are not aware regarding the sex educations, regarding the functioning of our reproductive system. So due to illiteracy, due to uneducation about the sex-related problems or the sex educations, they will significantly aid to the increasing growth of human population. That's why we have to make them aware, we have to make them educated, where the government and the non-government organizations have to come forward to make them aware, to make them educated about having a smaller family and how does our body reproductive systems come into action. So this sort of education should be provided to those uneducated individuals. Next one, oral marriage, which is one of the most important norms. Clear? Because mostly in our societies, the individuals, mainly after attaining puberty, they will get married. So this is one of the major concerns, because once they will get married in an early age, then they will become parents. They are called the teenage mother, which are going to last us. Now those teenage mothers will not be able to focus on the career, they will not be able to pursue their better educations, right? And they will also not be able to live in a proper hygienic conditions. They will not be able to get the proper nutrition, nourishment, so they will be poor in health. Clear? And many of those infants that born to those teenage mothers, they will also not get proper nourishment, proper nutrition. So So therefore early marriage and being mother at the early age is also one of the major concerns and also one of the major factors for the increasing human populations. The last one, poor access to contraceptive devices or services. Clear, mainly in remote areas or in some areas, those who are uneducated, those who are illiterate, right? They are not able to get proper use of contraceptive devices, which will mainly supply and aid to control the growth of human population. So these are the different factors or different reasons for the high increase in the growth of human population in India. So you can see the factors: decline in death rate, decline in INR and MMR, slower decline in birth rate as compared to death rate. Then we have got longer lifespan, we have got better agricultural service, we have got proper facilities for the storage of food materials, we have got the government efforts to ensure the proper supply of food materials to each and every individuals in human populations. Then we have got the control epidemics, control diseases, religious beliefs in certain communities which will not enable them to adapt or commit the smaller family norms. Then there's lack of education, early marriage, and the improper or the poor access of contraceptive devices or the contraceptive services. So these are the different regions or the factors which are responsible for the high population growth in India. So kindly go through the book, go with these particular points, alright, which will be clear for you and easier for you to understand. Next one, consequences of overpopulation. Now when the human population keeps on increasing at a tremendous rate, what will be the effect or what will be the consequences? First one, you can see over here, food scarcity. Clear? So when the number of human population keeps on increasing, there will be a demand for more food. There will be more food in more space. So therefore there will be scarcity of food. Whatever the food is available at the present time, it will not be sufficient to feed in the coming days for the increasing human population. So there will be scarcity of food, and therefore there will be also a demand for the space, for the land. Clear? Because higher the number of human population, there will be more demand for food, timber, goods. The children will go for deforestation. Clear? We have to cut the trees to fulfill our demand, to fulfill our needs. So we will go for deforestation, and due to deforestation there will be pollution. You can see over here, there will be air pollution, there will be water pollution. So there will be more pressure on the land, because we will try to utilize all the natural resources present within our surroundings. Clear? So there will be more pressure on the land. So we will go for the cutting of trees to fulfill our needs, fulfill our demands. Alright? So therefore, there will be a shortage of natural resources like coal and petroleum products. So more the number of human populations, there will be more use of natural resources, and therefore for the future generations, those natural resources will be limited. Alright? And the time might come where these natural resources can be depleted from our ecosystem. So therefore, increasing growth of human populations will have a harmful effect on the natural resources, because those natural resources will take a longer lifespan or time span for their formations. Yeah, so once they are used, they cannot be regenerated. So like coal, petroleum, the way we are utilizing it, the day will come when they will totally deplete from our ecosystem and will not be available for use for the future generation. So therefore we have to use this resource in such a way that it will not be depleted from ecosystems. Alright, so we have to use it not only for the present generation, but we have to use it in such a way that it will be available to the coming generation also, which is called sustainable development. Just not think of the present scenario, but we have to think about the future also. Clear? Next one. There will be eco-degradations. The ecosystems will be degraded. There will be more pollution. There will be no proper sanitation, and there will be more deforestation. So gradually the ecosystems will be degraded. There will be formation of the more slums area which are unhygienic. There will be creation of unhygienic conditions. Alright? There will be unemployment, because due to increase of human populations, alright, most of the individuals will not be able to get proper educations, And in absence of proper education, in lack of proper education, there will be an issue of unemployment. Next one, the standard of living will decrease because all those natural resources, alright, like food particles, water, drinking supply, sanitation, hygienic conditions will be there to just fulfill the needs of our life, but we will not be able to live a proper standard life. So the standard of living will usually decrease. Next one, infrastructure. There will be no proper infrastructure because there will be more pressure on the land, there will be more pollutions, there will be unhygienic conditions, alright. So therefore the proper infrastructure facilities will not be there when the human population keeps on increasing. And last one, there will be crisis of energy. That we will be using so much of natural resources that it will ultimately deplete our ecosystem. That's why we have to go for the alternative sources of energy like solar energy, hydro electricity. We have to generate. So these are the alternative sources of energy. So therefore there is a harmful effect or harmful consequences when the human population keeps on increasing. Alright? So therefore, what is it of the hour? What can we do? Mainly we have to create an awareness. We have to create an awareness, we have to make people educated. Alright, it's only the need of an hour that when the human population keeps on increasing, then it will ultimately affect our life. It will affect the ecosystems and affect the standard of living of an individual organism. So therefore, to create an awareness among the people of the consequences of the increasing human populations and how to control this particular growth of population is only the issue of an hour to create or to make a proper and hygienic way of living in our ecosystem. Otherwise, the human population keeps on increasing in a tremendous manner which will affect the entire ecosystem. Clear? So therefore, we have to control the human populations by adopting certain norms and certain action plans. Clear? So now we learn about the few terms of human population. First one is demography. Now what is demography? Demography means the scientific study of human population. So kindly mark it down. Alright, what is demography? So the scientific study of the human population, is called demography, and it is three aspects. What is aspect? Number one, changes in the population size. Number two, composition of population, because in a population we will find different people or different age groups. Clear? We will find pre-reproductive age groups, then we will find the individuals in the age of reproductive phase, then we will find the post-reproductive phase. Yes, so in populations we will find people of different age groups, which is called the composition populations. And last one is the distribution of population in space. So these three factors are taken into considerations when we talk about the demography or when we take into consideration general study of human population. Now what is census? What is census? The official counting of population and preparing data about age group, birth, death, sex ratio, education, profession, etc. Alright, so that census means the official counting of human populations, where we will take the age group of individuals, the birth rate, the death rate, the sex ratio, education, and the profession. So all this we will create data is called the census. Next one, what is birth control? The regulations of conception by preventive measures or devices to limit the number of children is called birth control. So those particular devices or those preventive measures by which we can control the birth of a child is called the birth control. And what is contraception? It is a temporary or permanent measure to prevent pregnancy. Clear? So contraception means it's a method to avoid pregnancy. Now we will discuss in detail about the different methods of contraceptions, the different methods by which you can control the birth rate of an individual. Alright? So what are the different methods of contraceptions? How we can control the birth? Alright? So first one, we have got natural method. Number two, barrier method we have heard. IUD means intrauterine devices. Oral contraceptives like oral pills, injectables, implants, and surgical methods. So these are the different methods of contraception, or the different methods by which we can control the growth of human population. So we'll go through it one by one. So first we'll discuss about the natural method of birth control. Clear? So natural methods. These methods work on the principles of avoiding chances of ovum and sperm meeting. That means over here we don't use any type of devices. Alright? We don't use any types of devices or the tools. Simply in this method we will try to avoid the contact of sperm and the ovum. So on what basis we will try to avoid the contact of those sperms and the ovum in the natural method. So therefore natural method is simply based on the theory of safe period or the rhythm method. Now what is safe period or the rhythm method? Now try to recall the different phases of menstrual cycle. We have learned that in the 14th day of menstrual cycle there will be ovulation, where the ova will be released. That is called the fertile period, where there is maximum chances of conception. Clear? So therefore, safe period or rhythm period means we have to avoid coitus or the sexual intercourse during the 10th day to 17th day of the menstrual cycle. Be careful, we have to avoid the coitus or the sexual intercourse during 10th day to 17th day of menstrual cycle. Why? Because at the 14th day, there will be ovulation, which is called fertile period. So therefore, to avoid coitus during the fertile period is one of the safe method or procedure to avoid pregnancy. Clear? So this particular method is based on that fact. So the different following facts: ovulation takes place in the 14th day of menstrual cycles. Ovum remains alive for 1 to 2 days only. Sperm survives for about 3 days in the female genital tract. So on this particular fact, safe period or rhythm period is based, and we have to avoid the sexual intercourse on the fertile period, because during fertile period there will be maximum chances of getting pregnancy, of getting conceptions, because on 14th day there will be ovulation. So avoid coitus during 10 day to 17 day of menstrual cycles. Number 2. Withdrawal method or coitus interruption, which also comes under the natural methods. Clear? So second method, withdrawal methods or coitus interruptions. Now on which particular fact is based on? Male partner withdraws his penis from the vagina just before ejaculation to avoid insemination. That means over here, in case of withdrawal method or coitus interruptions, the male partner has to withdraw his penis from the vagina and has to avoid the insemination. And what is insemination? It's simply the release of sperm into the female genital tract. So therefore, in withdrawal method or coitus interruptions, the male partner has to avoid insemination. Clear? Next one, the most important one is lactational amenorrhea. This usually comes in examination. What is lactational amenorrhea? It's also one of the methods of birth control or contraception under natural methods. So what is lactational amenorrhea? As the name suggests, lactation. Intense period of lactation after parturition. Clear? So after parturition, at the time of intense lactations, there will be no menstruation. It is called lactational amenorrhea. And before that, I will tell you one of the drawbacks of withdrawal methods of coitus interruptions. Though we should say that we have to avoid insemination during sexual intercourse, but sometimes it will be there can be a mistake that a small amount of semen can be released into the female genital tract, and that semen usually contains the sperms. Clear? So one should be very careful if they are following the withdrawal method or coitus interruptions. Not a single sperm or semen has to be discharged into the female genital tract. Clear? Now let's go into the lactational amenorrhea. Now, the term lactational amenorrhea means absence of menstruation during the period of lactation. Remember this thing. After parturition, there will be intense lactation. Alright? So during lactation, there will be no menstruation. It is called amenorrhea. It is found that ovulation and menstrual cycle do not occur during the period mother is feeding child because prolactin hormone that stimulates milk secretion prevents ovulation by keeping the low level of estrogen in the blood. So what is lactational amenorrhea? So after parturition, during intense lactation period of time, there will be no menstruation, there will be no ovulation. So it is one of the natural methods to avoid pregnancy or natural method of contraception. So this particular method is called lactational amenorrhea because during this time the prolactin hormone will be at peak because this hormone is responsible for the secretion and the formation of milk, and it will usually keep down the level of estrogen very low in the blood. So during lactation period there will be no menstruation, no ovulation. So it is one of the natural methods of contraception. So can we go through the definition of lactational amenorrhea? This usually comes in examinations under 2 marks. Clear? Next one. Next method, barrier method. In barrier method, we will try to prevent the physical contact of the sperm and the ovum. Clear? So how can we achieve that? Over here, look over here. We use different types of devices. Now what are the devices which we use under the barrier method by which sperms and the ovums are prevented to come in physical contact? The first device that we can use over here is the condom, which traps the ejaculated sperms during coitus. During sexual intercourse, when the sperms will be ejaculated, that sperms will be trapped by the condom. So one of the examples is needles. Kindly go through it. Okay, these needles will not only help in contraceptions, but also help in the transmission of sexually transmitted diseases like HIV/AIDS. Alright, so remember the name, needle. Number 2, femicide, the female condom, which cover the genitalia and also the vagina. Diaphragm, the vaginal barrier inserted into the vagina and fitted over the cervix so that the sperm will not be able to reach the uterus. Cervical cap, rubber nipple fitted over the cervix functions also to prevent the entry of the sperm into the uterus. Body cap fitted over the vaginal wall on the cervix before coitus. And after the coitus or the sexual intercourse, it can be removed after 6 hours. So these are the different devices which comes under the barrier methods by which we can prevent the physical contact of the sperm and the ovum. Clear? Next method, we have got chemical methods where we used to use different types of chemicals. Alright, the most important chemical that we use is called spermicides. It's very important. What is spermicides? These are the sperm killing agents. Alright, it's very important. What is spermicides? These are the sperm killing agents such as lactic acid, citric acid, potassium permanganate, and zinc sulfates. Remember the examples of spermicides. These are the chemicals which are used to kill the sperms. Alright, so it includes the use of contraceptive available in the form of cream, gel, paste, foam, tablets, aerosol forms. And what is spermicides? These are the sperm killing agents. So here we use different types of devices, different types of chemicals to avoid contraceptions. Next one, intrauterine devices. This is very important. What do you mean by intrauterine devices, or we will call it IUDs. Alright, let's call it IUDs, means intrauterine devices. So let's see. These devices are made of plastic, metal, or both, which are inserted into the uterus of the female. So IUDs are inserted into the uterus of a female by a well-trained medical professionals, either by a doctor or by a sisters. Clear? So IUDs are mainly implanted in the uterus. Okay. So let's see. Depending on this, there are 3 types of IUDs. First one, most important one, inert IUDs. Give an example: lipase loop. There is impairment of spermatocyte. There is quick tubal motility resulting in the premature migration of fertilized egg into the uterus. Histological and biochemical changes which have spermicidal effect, meaning by using inert IODs like Lactation, the premature egg after ovulation, listen very carefully, after ovulation, the ova will come into the uterus, and it will be premature. It will not be mature, but it will directly come into the uterus. Alright, those premature egg will migrate towards the uterus, and therefore there will be certain biochemical changes which also act as the spermicides, which will act as the sperm-killing agents. Clear? Next, number 2, copper tea. It's very important. Alright, copper tea. Examples you can see over here. Copper tea, multi-load 375 and copper tea 380. Please remember the examples. This is very important. Alright, the question comes, give the examples of the copper releasing iodines. When the examination will ask, give the example of the copper releasing iodines. So your answer will be copper tea, multi-load 375 and COT, a copper tea 380. This will release the copper ion. Alright, and those copper ion, they will suppress the sperm motility, they will decrease the movement of the sperm, and also they will decrease the fertilizing capacity of the sperm. So those copper tea, they have ionized copper, and this ionized copper, they will decrease the sperm motility, they will decrease the movement of the sperm, and also they will decrease the fertilizing capacity of the sperm. Clear? Okay, next one, hormone releasing IODs. Now what are examples? Progesterone, remember? And LNG20. These are the examples of copper releasing iodines. So remember the example of hormone releasing iodines. So over here, remember what is inert iodines? Give the examples. Copper tea, copper releasing iodines. Give the examples. And remember in this case, you have to remember the function of copper. It will decrease the sperm motility and fertilizing capacity of sperm. And similarly, hormone releasing IODs, remember the examples. And what is their function? It makes uterus unstable for implantation and cervix hostile to the sperm. It will avoid implantation. So remember the different names of the intrauterine devices. There are 3 types: inert IODs, copper releasing IODs, and hormone releasing IODs. Remember the examples and the mode of action. Clear? Now listen to the examples over here, diagrams of those devices which can be used for contraception or which can be used to avoid pregnancy. Alright, so I have taken the figure from the book, so kindly go to the textbook. So you can see the examples of figure over here: male condom, female condom, vaginal diaphragm, cervical cap, ball cap. So this comes under the barrier method of contraceptions. Which mechanical methods? We will try to avoid the physical contact of sperm and the ovule. Then spermicidal cream, the chemical method of contraceptions. Then copper tea you can see over here, multi-load 375. This comes under the intrauterine devices. And in the next class, we will talk about the oral contraceptive pills or devices of contraception, and we will talk about the surgical method of contraception also. Alright, we will talk about vasectomy and tubectomy also. Alright, so the rest we will discuss it in the next class. So this is for today. Thank you.